In our news bulletin for this evening, Niue holds Anzac commemorations in recognition of the sacrifice of those who went to World War I 100 years ago. Niue's Bills Committee opened up an opportunity for public submissions and comments on the draft Environment Bill to compile a report for the bill to be taken back to the Niue Legislative Assembly in July. The men's Kinikiki season is into its third round of games, with some games cut abruptly due to weather conditions on Saturday. At the break of dawn on Saturday, crowds gathered to the National War Memorial Cenotaph in Alofi to commemorate the centenary of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps who fought in the First World War. Niue's Returned Servicemen's Association organised the Dawn Parade observance program in recognition of the contributions towards the war efforts. There was a sombre mood as people reflected on the sacrifice made not only by Australia and New Zealand, but the many Pacific Islanders who joined in the war. This marked a significant part in Niue's history as the nation remembered the 150 Niuean men who heeded the call of Great Britain for help. In his speech, the New Zealand High Commissioner, Ross Arden, presented an in-depth and descriptive visual account of the war and its toll on New Zealand as a nation.
The landings never came even close to achieving their goals. Although the Allies managed to secure footholds on the peninsula, the fighting quickly degenerated into trench warfare, with the Anzacs holding a tenuous perimeter against the ever stronger Ottoman attacks. Those troops endured heat, flies, the stench of unburied bodies, insufficient water, and they endured disease. The fighting was just simply ferocious. By way of example, in the Second Battle of Kurthia, when the New Zealand troops went into action on the 8th of May, they were tasked with capturing that area. Again, a disaster. New Zealand had little time to prepare and attacked behind a weak artillery barrage. The troops charged across what was an area known as the Daisy Patch into a hail of Ottoman machine gun fire and rifle fire. The New Zealand infantry suffered on that day 835 casualties and achieved absolutely nothing. An experience repeated all along the line. And by the time the commanding general broke off that attack that evening, the Allies had lost 6,500 men, killed or wounded, to advance 500 metres.
Acting Premier Pukotosipeli acknowledged the 150 soldiers from the smallest nation for their bravery.
On behalf of the government, thank you for your attendance to commemorate 100 years of celebration for our heroes who went to war in 1915. We are here today to witness our heroes who sacrificed their lives for us. So we always remember them for many years to come. Our heroes sacrificed themselves for us. Remember them always. Remember them.
And the roll call this year was read out by RSA representatives Jordan Hacker and Hagen Siosikefu. In addition to this year's program saw a student representative from the Niue High School, Ashley Bihinia, and a student representative from Niue Primary School, Gabrielle Tuhipa, present speeches about Anzac and what it means for them in this modern day and its relevance for upcoming generations. Both reflected a heartfelt appreciation for the sacrifice of their ancestors in a war that was not their own, and a great sense of pride for Niue as a whole. The Girls' Brigade and Boys' Brigade representatives hoisted the flags of Niue, New Zealand and Australia before the Niue Police Force in unison performed the Guard of Honour 3-volley salute, letting off 3 rounds into the sky concluding the formalities of Anzac celebrations, and families were also able to lay wreaths for the fallen heroes. From the 150 who left the shores of Niue, more than 20 did not return and are buried in foreign lands. Lest we forget, we will remember them. Public submissions have been called for comments on the Environment Bill 2015 that will repeal and update the 2003 Environment Act. The draft bill was tabled in the Niue Legislative Assembly on the 25th of March and was returned to the Bills Committee. Although the Act is to be repealed, the Environment Department that was established under this Act will be maintained. This process opens up an opportunity for members of the public to put forward their views for any proposed changes or additions before it becomes law. 2 public consultations have been called, one with the government departments last week that had a limited representation, and the session with village councils and civil society yesterday had a good turnout with a series of comments and queries that will be documented. Bills Committee Chairperson Honourable Kupa Mangtungia says that the process has been beneficial to gauge public understanding of the bill, but also to encourage government agencies to work together to strengthen their enforcement procedures and processes. There is still time for public comments on the bill that will close midday Thursday, the 30th of April. The Bills Committee will then work on compiling all their findings into a report that will be presented back to the Niue Legislative Assembly in July. Last Saturday marked the 3rd round of the men's cricket tournament for this year, with all 5 fields used from Mutalo all the way to Vaia. The village of Makefu bat first against Tongulu Tamgotonga and scored 153 runs. They had a short break and Tamgotonga chased that score, beating them by 161 runs. That was in the field at Mutalo. In Hakupu, Hikutavake Toi bat first against Awasele, scoring a total of 88 runs. Awasele managed to catch up with just 3 batters and their total of 96 runs, Awasele winning that game. At the field in La Kapa, the neighbouring villages of Hakupuatua and Vaia fought it out on the field. Hakupu with 268 runs, but Vaia put up a good fight, scoring 254 runs. Hakupu victorious in that game. The villages of La Kapa and Mutalo came out at a tie due to weather conditions in the field in Liku. La Kapa bat first and the game was called off due to rain. For the cricket game between the villages of Liku and Tuapa, that was postponed, with the reason being that the Vaia field was difficult to play on. If all goes according to schedule, the finals for the men's Kilikiki season will be held on the 10th of May. And those are our news stories for this evening. Do join us again for our next news bulletin on Thursday, and don't forget to check out the Niue Primary School Sports Day that will be on tomorrow morning.